I am 45 years old, and I wake up most mornings to a house that feels smaller than it should. Not empty, not quiet enough to be lonely, but quiet in a way that makes me notice what's missing. My husband is here beside me, but some of the silence didn't start now. It started much earlier. I just didn't see it. When we got married at 23, I thought love was something sturdy, something permanent, like furniture, like a house. You just dusted it now and then. We were young. He was patient. I was proud. That combination looks harmless in the beginning. I had so many plans. I wanted to be the perfect wife, clean home, well-fed husband, later well-behaved children. I wanted to hear, "She manages everything so well." And for a while I did. But there were small things I didn't do, small things I kept postponing. In the early years, he would come home from work and sit at the kitchen table while I finished washing dishes. He would start telling me about his day. I would nod, but I wouldn't turn around. I was busy. There was always something boiling over, something to wipe, something to fix. "Just a minute," I would say. There are so many minutes I never gave him. He used to reach for my hand when we walked together. I would gently pull away if I was carrying groceries, adjusting my sari, or looking around to see who was watching. I don't even know why. It wasn't that I didn't love him. I just didn't think those gestures mattered. Love, to me, was cooking his favorite meal. Love was ironing his shirts. Love was saving money. I didn't understand that love was also sitting down when he spoke, looking at him when he laughed, touching his arm for no reason. Years passed. We had 2 children. Life became busy in the way that feels important. School meetings, doctor appointments, festivals, relatives visiting. I became efficient. I could run a household with my eyes closed. But I stopped seeing my husband clearly. He would suggest we go out in the evening, just the 2 of us. I would say I was tired, or that we shouldn't waste money, or that the children needed us. There was always a reason. I thought we had time. He began talking less. I noticed it, but I didn't ask why. I assumed he was stressed. I assumed it was normal. Marriage settles down, I told myself. It becomes practical. That is what grown-up love looks like. Sometimes he would sit on the balcony alone at night. I would see him from inside, through the curtain. I would think, I should go sit with him. But I didn't. I would finish folding clothes first, or watch the end of my program, or simply feel too comfortable where I was. You don't see the damage while it is happening. It looks like ordinary life. There was a time in our 30s when he tried again. I remember it clearly. The children were small then. One Sunday afternoon, he brought tea to me instead of the other way around. He sat down and said, "We don't talk anymore." I laughed a little, not to mock him, just to lighten the mood. "What is there to talk about?" I said. "We're together all the time." He looked at me in a way I didn't understand then. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even disappointment. It was distance. "We're in the same house," he said quietly. "That's not the same thing." I should have stopped everything in that moment. I should have asked him what he meant. Instead, I told him he was overthinking. I told him this is how marriage is after 10 years. I told him to be grateful we had no big problems. No big problems. I thought affairs were big problems. I thought shouting was a big problem. I thought leaving was a big problem. I didn't realize that staying but slowly turning away from each other is also a big problem. It just doesn't make noise. In our 40s, he buried himself in work. I buried myself in the children's routines and my career. We stood side by side in photographs, smiling for everyone. People used to say, "You two are such a stable couple." Stable. That word sounds good. It also sounds like something that doesn't move. There were nights he tried to tell me he felt lonely. He didn't use that word. Men of his generation didn't. But he would say things like, "It feels strange in this house lately." And I would answer with solutions. "Let's repaint the living room. Let's visit your cousin. Let's plan a trip." I kept offering activities when what he wanted was connection. I was afraid of deep conversations. I didn't even know I was afraid. It just felt uncomfortable, vulnerable, easier to talk about tasks than feelings. He stopped trying after a while. The house grew quieter, even though the children were still around. When the kids began leaving for school or extracurriculars, I felt proud. We were doing what we were supposed to do. Good parents, good life. But sometimes, when the house emptied even for an afternoon, I would see him on the balcony, watching, waiting. "This is our time now," he said in his quiet way. I nodded, but I didn't know how to begin. We tried in our awkward way, short trips, dinners, evenings, just the two of us. We laughed, but the laughter felt slightly forced, the way you stretch an old elastic band that has lost its snap. One evening, he reached for my hand. I held it. It felt good, but it felt like something folded and kept in a drawer too long. Fragile. "I used to tell you everything," he said softly. "Now I don't know where to start." I didn't know either. The turning point is not a dramatic one. It is quiet. A look, a gesture, a day you realize you could have been braver all along. I cannot go back and sit at the kitchen table when he first tried to talk. I cannot soften my younger self. But I can sit here now and tell you this. The small things are not small. The hands you hold, the minutes you pause for conversation, the effort to see the person beside you, not just the house, not just the duties. I look at young couples now, sitting together but staring at their phones. I want to tap their shoulders. I want to say, "You think you have decades. Maybe you do, but decades pass in a blink when you are busy being practical." If this meant something to you, maybe stop for one more question tonight. Maybe put the laundry down. Maybe take the hand that is there, waiting quietly. Because love is not maintained by efficiency. It is maintained by presence. And presence cannot be reclaimed once postponed.